Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome to another in-depth review for Marvel Strike Force. Now, for today's video we will be covering a character that I put a poll up on YouTube and it actually had a pretty amazing response, so I'll look to do this more often going forward. But if we look at the poll, we can see the character we'll be looking at today was Wolverine. He won really by quite a wide margin, and I think it was in under 24 hours or so. We got 967 votes, which is pretty amazing. I never thought I'd have that many people voting in a poll, never mind that many people watching my videos in the first instance anyway, so that was awesome, and you will see me doing more of these polls as time goes on. Now, in regards to this video anyway, we'll start off with a general overview of Wolverine. That includes where you go to farm him and also his tags. We'll then have a look at his stats. We follow that up by checking out his abilities. Next up, it's his synergies. This is characters he can work well with and characters you want to avoid. And then finally we see where he places in the overall tier list as well. Now, I'll just mention just before we get into the overview that Wolverine is a character that I've leveled up a bit, but I don't feel I have a massive amount of experience with. So big thanks to Rain, who's an Alliance member, who's helped me out with this video. But let's now start off with this general overview. Wolverine is then, as you would expect, a straight out brawler, and that's what he's all about, getting the claws out and going to town. Now, when we look at his tags, it's Hero, Global, Bio, Brawler and Mutant. None of them are really interesting other than the Mutant tag that is only going to get better in time as we get more mutants in the game and we get more synergies going forward with them. In regards to where you go to unlock them at the moment, you complete all the dailies in the game and it will give you 5 shards as a daily reward, so that's 5 shards per day. And also recently we had a blitz forum where there was shards for all the different ratings available as well, so it's not clear how long you'll stay as a daily reward. If you're wanting to see some math in regards to how long it would take to unlock them, check out the description in this video and I have a link there to a video where I break all that down. Now, with that covered anyway, we'll have a look at his stats. For the stats then, we have 6 in total to look at. It's 3 offensive stats and also 3 defensive stats, and we'll scale these on a rating of A to F. Now, we'll start off by looking at the offensive stats. For the offensive stats then, he's a character like one of 2 others that I have covered, whereby their initial damage doesn't look that high, but if you factor in other parts of their kit such as multipliers and so on, then they can actually put out a really nice amount of damage. Now, his damage is C, so it's very much middle of the road there. His speed is D, and that is a bit of a pity because when we look at the defensive side of things, we'll see that he's got a heal on turns, so the fact that he's slower means he's healing less often there, so you want to pair him up with someone to speed him up so that he can do more attacks but also so he can heal quicker. When it comes to his focus, this is way down at F. Now, focus is your chance for debuffs to apply to the enemy. It has to go against a resistance check with the enemy. Now, with Wolverine, when he crits, he actually gives a bleed to the enemy. I've not actually noticed an enemy resisting a bleed at all. If you have yourself, let me know in the comments below, but personally I haven't noticed this low focus negatively affecting him. Now, if we look at other aspects of his kit that can help him out from an offensive perspective, you have the fact that I think almost all characters come with a flat 10% crit chance as standard, but Wolverine actually starts off with 20%. That ties in nice with the next option we have, which is where he has bleeds on crit, so he's more likely to crit due to this. He also has a fence up on his ultimate, and then finally you've got his high piercing damage. Now, in simplest terms, piercing means that you do more damage to any targets that have high armour. For a more in-depth breakdown of that, check out the description of this video, and there's a link to a Reddit post, but it's broke down very nicely there. Now, next up, what we'll do is have a look at his defensive stats. When we look at the defensive stats here, you've actually got something quite strange going on in his kit, and this is the reason that I've re-uploaded this video. Now, if we look at the health first, that's way up at A, and that's fantastic because he does have a heal on turn, so he can regenerate as you expect Wolverine should be able to. When you've got him maxed out, he can regenerate in the region of 15,000 health per turn, which is really nice. Now, if we look at the armour, in the original version of this video it was rated at B, and the reason for that is I looked at his base armour and then I scale it up. He starts off with very high base armour, but when you actually level him up When it comes to defensive gear, it's normally green, it's not blue or purple gear you equip, and that means you're gaining very little armour, and as a result of that, he actually has one of the lowest armour ratings in the game. That's way down at F. Now, his resistance is down at F as well, that makes him susceptible to stuns and slows, so you have to watch out for that. Finally, from a defensive perspective, he also has the heal on turn, which we have mentioned, which is very nice, and he has a chance to revive as well, but it's a pretty low chance. It's only 5% there, and it's more there from a flavour point of view. Now, with all that covered anyway, what we'll do is we'll have a look at his abilities. For the abilities here, we have 4 in total we look at. It's the basic, special, ultimate and also the passive. Now, as I go through each of them, I'll bring up a tooltip that shows off the actual skill maxed out. So that's level 7 for active skills and level 5 for passives. Now, that information isn't available in game at the moment, but it is available via msf.gg, so you can also check out there as well. Now, in regards to the first one we look at, this is his passive. This is called Healing Factor. Maxed out with this, on turn you heal for 20% of this character's max health. Now, at max health he has round about the region of 70,000 health, which would mean every turn you'd be healing for 14,000 health, which is just crazy. He also has a 5% chance to revive with 20% of his character's max health. So that's not the highest, you won't see it happening often, unless of course you go up against an AI Wolverine, where it'll be proccing probably every second match. Now, in regards to how high you want to level this, I would say you want to max it out so that you're getting as much of the heal per turn as possible. For the basic, we have a pretty simple skill here. This is called Adamantium Claws. So with this, you attack the primary target for 240% piercing and you apply bleed on crit. Now, this particular one at level 6 you're getting 230% piercing, and you're only gaining an additional 10% piercing when you go from level 6 to level 7. So for that reason I would say keep this particular skill at level 6. For the special, we have a skill called Slice and Dice. This takes 4 turns to charge and comes fully charged. Now with this, you attack the primary target for 130% piercing and apply bleed on crit, and you chain 3 to 4 targets for 100% piercing and apply bleed on crit as well. Now, this is a skill that you won't be using too often because the damage on it is relatively low, and the only time it will be useful is if there's a lot of enemies whose health pool is low, or you're going up against a summoner. Then you want to use this to take out the summons nice and quick. In regards to how high you want to take it, because it's not got the highest damage, you can actually get away with taking it round about level 5 or level 6. Level 5 if you're struggling for crafting mats. If you're a bit of a Wolverine fanatic, then you want to take it up to level 6 there. For his ultimate, we have an absolute powerhouse of a skill. This is called Primal Berserker. It's 5 turns to charge and comes with 2 charges. Now, when this is maxed out, and you do want to max this out, you attack the primary target for a whopping 700% piercing, which would just shred any tanks were you to target them with this. And also if you crit, you apply a bleed as well, same as his other skills. Now, if his health is below 50%, you gain a fence up for 2 turns, and the attack is unavoidable as well. Now, what does unavoidable mean? So if a character has evade, for example, you will still hit them. If they have the chance to dodge, you'll still hit them as well. The only way you'll miss with an unavoidable attack is if you're actually blinded there. Now, with all that covered anyway, what we'll do is we'll have a look at his synergies. When we look at characters he can work well with, as a flat out brawler he can actually really fit into just about any team. Now, characters that can help him out and make him more useful would firstly be Black Widow and Merc Lieutenant, because they've both got speed up, and if he's able to attack quicker he's obviously putting out more damage, but also he's getting that regen on turn as well, so that can work out really nice, that combo. Now, we are due Cable in the next few days, and when Cable comes out he has the chance to add counter to mutants, so that would work really well. And then finally you have characters who can increase his crit chance. That would include Gamora and Iron Man. Now, in time I'm pretty sure we'll see see some pretty interesting synergies when it comes to mutants. The likes of Cyclops, he surely will have to have buffs from mutants, being the leader that he is. So really am intrigued to see how this section will expand in time, and I'm hoping we do get an X-Men character that can offer him a nice amount of crit chance, and of course fastball special once Colossus comes to the game as well, although that goes without saying really. Now with that covered, we'll look at the enemies you want to avoid. When we look at characters that Wolverine can struggle with, these are ones that will have either a high health pool and low armour, so it means the pierce isn't really gaining you anything, or ones that can take advantage of his low resistance. So with the low resistance, you have Quake for example that could slow him down, which means less attacks and also less heals. You have Winter Soldier who has the heal block on his ultimate in the first turn. Public enemy number 1 would be Korath because he has heal block, but he also has slow as well, so he could cause a lot of problems to Wolverine. In regards to the characters that have high health pool and low armour, that would include Kingpin and Thanos, so they could take a while to whittle down as Wolverine. Now with that covered, what we'll do is we'll see where he sits in the tier list. For this tier list here, we have 5 different ratings. The most powerful characters are on the left hand side, that's the mega rated characters, and as we go from left to right, the characters get progressively weaker until we're way down at level 1. Now with the original upload of this video, we were under the impression that he had a huge amount of armour on top of his high health pool as well, which really added that extra layer to him, and I did mention in that video that he just scraped into the alpha rating. Now having looked at the armour rating again, and it does pull down one of his unique aspects to an extent, which was the survivability, because he's taking the full brunt of hits because his armour is so low. If we think back, it was actually down at an F rating. Now with all that combined, I would actually now place him as a level 3 character, and I feel this is more in line because if we look at the other characters available in this actual section, you've got the likes of Elektra, Winter Soldier, Nebula. There are brawlers that can put out a nice amount of damage and have a small amount of utility, and I would say that Wolverine does fit into that section as well there. Now just in summary, if we look at his pros and cons here, you've got his high health, you've got his incredible ultimate, you've got the regen, there's no need to go out your way to farm him, so that's certainly nice, and then you've got the fact they can work very well against some of the more popular tanks in the game such as Crossbones, Cap and Drax due to the pierce and them having high armour. His downsides are the fact he's slow and he's got that low armour and low resistance. Now although we had a lot of positives there, because he's so slow and if he's slowed down again, we don't actually get to see those positives as often as I would actually like. Now on top of all this, you've got the fact that if he does go up against a tank that just has pure health and no armour to mitigate it, it can take a while to whittle them down as Wolverine, and also you've got the fact that his additional damage through bleeds is reliant on him actually critting. As time goes on and we get more mutants in the game and ones that can hopefully help out in that respect, then potentially would move up to alpha rating, but for now I'm most definitely sticking on the level 3 rating for him. Sorry to say to my alliance mate Rain, he really does like Wolverine. Now that is number 25 complete, I believe. Next up I think it will be Black Panther that I'll have a crack at, so if you've got any observations on him, feel free to leave them below because he's a character that I've not spent a great deal of time on, and this is the reason why I've left his review as late as I actually have. But thanks for tuning in as always, and I'll see you all again soon.